Good morning. How y'all doing? Good to see everyone. Obviously, it's been a tough couple days, tough end of the season. It's never easy, but this is extra tough, just because we got so close. But couldn't be more proud of our players, our coaches, our staff for everything they achieved this season. Advancing to the AFC Championship game, #1 seed. Won the division for the first time in 10 years, and I think we won 11 straight games, won 14 regular season games, which ties the team record. And really, credit goes to Sean and the winning culture he's instilled since he arrived. Greg and Carrie, for their leadership and all the resources they led us to pour into our players. And then, when you have a season like this, it takes a village. And really, everyone in our organization, I just want to thank for all the hard work they put into this season. When you look back at this team, this is a special team. I think I mentioned in the preseason, just they love the process, they love the grind, they love the work. This is as closest team as I've ever been around. I think you guys could probably feel that. You could see that translate to the games. Never flinch, never say die. This team just fought, and so we remember this team, for that. Obviously, we move forward now. We're into our offseason. Our scouts are at the Senior Bowl. They've been at the East-West. We'll do a deep dive on this team like we do every year, and we'll determine our needs. We'll be aggressive filling those needs. We know, you start over. Nothing's guaranteed. This was a great season. We move on, and just excited for that challenge. And, with that, I'll take your questions.
George, you heard in the preseason Sean tell a number of people that he thought this was a Super Bowl caliber team, and even though you come up a little short, I guess how validating is it that? And I guess what was your reaction when he said that and he's putting it out there? But then,
well, he puts it out there, and he's it's a little different than me, but that's Sean, and that's everywhere he's been, and typically he backs it up, and the players, I think, they feed off that, and they feed off the energy. He's a great motivator, and I think the whole building feeds off it. The confidence is, we haven't won here in a long time, so to have someone come in and say we're going to do this, and he just says that he says that to us every day. I mean, and shoot, you start believing it.
George, you mentioned being aggressive in the offseason. After getting this close, getting to the AFC Championship game, how do you evaluate whether this roster just needs refinement or some aggressive pushes to get to that next step?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it just takes, we'll take a week of going through the roster, with a fine tooth and go through every position, and we evaluate our roster versus the other rosters, our roster versus the AFC West. We'll stack, each position and just determine where we need to get better at. Every team needs to get better, and there's no perfect team. And so we'll spend a week at least doing that. And then, again, who's available? Who's available in free agency? Who's available in the draft? And so it's a puzzle, and you have a plan, and you hope to execute that plan.
Hey, George. Sean just talked about sort of the capital you've put into drafting and the receiver room and all that. Overall, do you feel like you have enough playmaking ability? Sort of a broad question, but receiver, running back.
Receiver, running back. Again, we'll do a deep dive. I like our young players. I like our young receivers, and I think we drafted 3, and you got Court and Little Jordan. We got a good mix of players, and but we're always looking to add. We're always looking to improve at every position. Running back, we'll do the same. I like the young backs we have. J.K. was a big hit here, and that was a big loss, for our team and our offense, and just his leadership that he showed. So we'll look at everything. I think we have some young talent. And if we can add, we will, and if we can upgrade, we will, certainly.
George, to your left, you mentioned this time a year ago that you thought you had a franchise guy in Bo Nix. What'd you see from him in year 2, particularly in those end-of-game moments like you talked about?
I just think you evaluate a quarterback by how much he wins, and there's been no quarterback in his first 2 years who's won more than Bo. So we can just start there, and then I think he had 7 game-winning drives, and it got to the point where we're behind and Bo had the ball. We're like, okay, we're going to win this. And you can look at all the traits for quarterbacks and their arm strength, their all that. But I don't think you can. He has that it factor. I don't think you can teach that. That either you have it or you don't, and he has it. And so, wow, 2 years we have a quarterback that can win at a high level. He's best in the big moments. We've seen that. Does he have areas to improve? Yes, like all quarterbacks. But if you have a quarterback that has that it factor, that's best in the big moments, that's pretty big.
Hey, George, you took some swings on some free agents this year with some injury history. What's your evaluation of that process as it goes going forward with free agency?
Yeah, I think we have a really good process. I think you evaluate each player differently. You don't want to bring in a bunch of, guys who've been hurt. But with Bo Lowry in our medical department, we feel really strong about their opinion. And if someone's been hurt, someone else, maybe we feel like, we can get them going. We'll have a plan, not that other teams don't, but we just feel really strongly about our medical team, our sports performance team, where we can bring someone in our environment and they can thrive. And, I think they have.
George, right here. Sean has talked about your relationship with him and only said great things, except that you pronounce your last name wrong. How has that partnership been between the two of you, especially over these last 2 years with a rookie quarterback and dealing with some dead money?
Yeah, I always wanted a Y as a kid. Walter Payton was my favorite player, and I had but anyway. I think it's been good. It keeps growing. I mean, it's been outstanding. I think we met in our interview. I think he refers to that interview, in Westlake, and I knew then we would be aligned in how we wanted to build this, and that's just continued to grow. And how much he loves the draft process, the personnel process, and not only does he love it, he's really good at it. I mean, he's really good. He knows what he wants. He articulates it well to all the scouts. So we all know what a Denver Bronco player at this position should look like. His staff is really good at it, and so we enjoy being around each other. Not always easy. It shouldn't be easy. Winning's not easy, but I just think it keeps getting stronger. I'm very fortunate to have him here with me.
George, when you get that close, people in the organization, do you personally, can you even watch the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think you do. I mean, right now I would say no, but when we get there, I mean, we love the game, and there's nothing like the Super Bowl, and so I think we watch it. We all, I've talked to a bunch of players yesterday, and there's a bunch of players waiting in my office right now, and a lot of them said they're not going to watch it, but I know we'll all watch it. We love this game, and it's too important, and you envision yourself being there one day, and that's what makes it special.
George, a couple of your young defensive rookies, we saw Q Robinson make an impact in the game, and then Jade as well. What just sort of is your impression of kind of how that came along this year?
All the rookies or just the defense?
Defensively.
Yeah, I think Jade, he played nickel, he played dime, he played little corner. You can see all the traits. He was good for us, probably not so good for him. He was drafted to maybe the deepest second, the corner back room in the league, and he made his mark. And he's just going to keep growing, keep getting better. Second round was RJ, but I'll stay with the defense. And then Savion Jones, again, we really like where he's going. We see the development in practice. I think he only played 33 snaps, but he had 4 or 5 pressures. He had a fumble recovery. We knew he'd be, a little development, but this guy's big, he's strong, he's athletic, he's going to be a player. And then Q, I mean, he may be have the most upside in our draft class, and you could see it the other day. I mean, he's long, he's athletic, he can run, really good in the run game. Just learning how to rush the passer, but has all the traits. And then you see what he does on special teams. So really encouraged with him, and I think that's all the defense guys, right, for that. And we have 2 college, free agent linebackers we like, Lavelle Bailey, who got a little taste, and then Jordan, Jordan Taylor, who was really good on special teams.
Yeah, George, you got 1 or 2 years of the lean times here, and we're big in the turnaround. What were some of the keys besides, the coach and quarterback, ownership? Besides those 3 things.
What else is there, Mike?
Anything, deeper dive into what
Well,
helped
I
turn it
just
around?
think it's tough times. When you come in an organization, you don't have success right away. I think it's important to stay true to what got you here. Stay true to your process, and don't listen to all the outside stuff. And then encourage your staff to do the same, and just stay the course. Just keep going. Keep grinding. And we were fortunate, obviously, to have this ownership group, and then to hire Sean, and I think that turned it. And then obviously the quarterback and all the other things.
Hey, George, you got 2 big things going for you this year. You're out from under the dead cap charges from Russ, and that new facility. How is that going to facilitate free agent signings?
Yeah, I think players will want to come here for a number of reasons. I think number one is ownership. That's the number one, and you can see what they've done, what they're doing, what they continue to do, and all the resources and leadership they've shown. I think quarterback makes a big difference. Players wanting to come to the quarterback, and and the fan base in Denver. I mean, people love it here, and I think that helps. And now we're playing at a high level, and again, it starts over. But I think players will want to be here.
George, you're on the clock with a rookie quarterback under that contract. Yeah. Getting this close, does that instill that sense of urgency? Like this is kind of that window. And how do you, in knowing Sean now, how do you think he'll deal with Sunday's disappointment as fuel, or because he's used the word regret?
Yeah, we've both been through this. This is my third championship loss. He's been through it. He's had tough losses. You learn. You have to move forward. You look at the things that we did, all the positive things that we did, and you build on that. In regards to the quarterback, I don't think we're always going to push it, and we're going to push it this year. It's all these other teams are pushing it. They're hiring these, so we have to be on our game. We have to make really good decisions. We're going to be aggressive, and regardless of what, whose contract is what, I think it's really important. Now we're going to be sound and prudent with our decisions, and the good news is, we have some cap room. We have 5 picks in the first 4 rounds. We could get 2 compensatory, which would give us 9. So we just have, I always talk flexibility. We're going to have all sorts of flexibility.
Did this crystallize the goal that it's like Super Bowl or bust down there? It was easy to say that a few years ago, but does that make it very easy what you guys did this season? That it's pretty clear one thing's left.
We just stick to the process. I don't get too far ahead of it. Again, every year you start over and you build in a sense, and we're going to have to build in a sense. But we just need to get better than we were, and we'll just kind of stick with that.
George, that aggressiveness, retrospect, do you maybe regret kind of not making a bigger move for a wideout, for a skill guy at the deadline or midseason this year? And is that going to be something you look at pretty, as you mentioned, aggressively, this offseason?
No, I don't regret that. I mean, at the time we had we like our receiving group. I don't think our receiving group, held us back from this game. I don't look at it like that. We got some young receivers and Pat Bryant and Troy Franklin and Mimsy and Sut. I don't think that's the reason we didn't make the Super Bowl. I think those guys, in their own right, had good years. We had some injuries in the end that hurt us. Going back to Buffalo, we had 3 receivers. For the rest, I think from the second quarter on, that's tough. And then in this game, we had 4. We always look at everything. I don't think, what was available, would have made much of a difference, for us. But I can't. What was your second question? That was it. We'll look at everything, every position. I appreciate that. Yeah.
George, you touched on it, but just hearing guys yesterday like Alex Singleton, J.K. Dobbins, be very vocal about wanting to stay here. Do you like hearing that? Does that kind of help validate what you guys are building here?
You do. You want your players, to want to be here, that's for sure. And again, it starts at the top with the ownership and Sean and what we're building. And you look at, we get players who come from other places, and you look at our resources and the modalities and our sports performance team, and it's an easy sell here. And then they look at the new facility. Obviously, there's going to be a new stadium down the road, but this ownership group is second to none.
George, going back to Bo Nix, what was your evaluation on how the surgery went in his health and his timetable? Do you see him doing any work in OTAs or so?
I mean, I think they said, close to May. I think he'll, I think he's going to be fine. I think Sean talked about that. He's going through it. I mean, he's in the building. He's working every day, and he'll be back. I'm not sure the exact date. We feel good about that.
George, you obviously got unrestricted free agents, but J-Mac is a restricted free agent.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's turned himself into one of the best players in the game.
Yeah.
Is he a extension candidate type, or what do you do when you have a guy he's in sort of a unique position, I guess?
Yeah, he's a restricted. Great story. J-Mac, we got him as a college free agent, and I remember his first year, we started him outside against the Chargers in the last game of the year, and I'm just like, oh man, he's 5'9", he's going to play outside against his receivers, and he played a great game, and you're like, wow, maybe we have something here, and then he's just gotten better, run game, pass game. We're going to work through that, as a staff, in that deep dive, and kind of go through that and just keep that in-house.